How's it going, everyone? It is Andre Williams, and over here we talk stocks and we focus on one thing. Always protect your profits. And today we're going to be talking about ChargePoint, which was down 1.30% on the day. Not too bad compared to other stocks that trade on the market. We also do see that there's a lot of weakness. There's a lot of selling pressure. So of course, many are asking that question. Is now the time to buy? Is now the time to sell? We'll talk about it in this video. I won't waste any more time. Let's jump into the agenda. If you're new to this channel, I just want to let you know we have timestamps down below inside the description. But if you're a shareholder, you're thinking about taking a position, I highly suggest you watch this full entire video. So the first thing we're going to go over is the technical analysis. We're going to be taking a look at the overall price action. We want to know support. We want to know resistance. We want to know what it looks like in the bearish case scenario and as well as in the bullish case scenario. And then we're going to be going on Fintel, taking a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information. The reason why this is important because it does have an impact on the way the stock performs. And then we're going to be taking a look at the order flow distribution. We want to know the buying and the selling behavior on the retail side and as well as on the institutional side. And then when all of that is done, we'll be going into the final thoughts and as well as some more details. So let's get to it. So we're going to do a technical analysis for ChargePoint. Let's see how it performed on the day. So it ended up closing at $14.43, being down 1.30%. On the low, it tested $14.32, and then on the high, testing $15.16. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 8.531 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days is at 7.901 million shares. So we had above average volume on the day, but you see we had a pullback in the stock. Now, when we take a look at our chart, which is a daily chart, you can see from the RSI down below, it's at 37.06. And then when we take a look at our moving averages here on the chart, we are below the 200-day, the 100-day, the 50-day, and as well as the 21-day EMA. With ChargePoint trading below all of our major moving averages, it isn't a bear market like we've noticed with a lot of other tech stocks. So as far as support is concerned, we're able to hold it up at 1432. So if we continue to have a pullback inside of the markets, I want to see if we can get down all the way here to around 1348, and that's where I'm going to be expecting some support to actually hold up. Now, if we decide to consolidate now, especially on the Monday, I'd want to see us staying above 1450. That would be the most ideal scenario, and then we could just kind of just stay there within that range between 1450 and as well as $15. And then when the market starts turning around, I want to see ChargePoint can make a move to the 21-day EMA, which is right around $16.55. So that is something you're going to want to keep a very close eye on, especially if we have the 50-day moving average crossing up above the 21-day EMA and as well as the 100-day. Because we know as far as ChargePoint, yes, they had a recent rally. We know as far as for EV and clean energy sector, it plays a big part in Biden's plan. So now that we have the market pulling back, we just have a lot of profit taking that is happening. So for anyone that wants to see ChargePoint as a long-term investor, let's see if it can get down to the $13 range. And if we continue to see weakness in the markets, you might be able to get ChargePoint somewhere in the 12s. Now let's move on to the short interest information. So we're going to take a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information for ChargePoint. Scrolling down on the page, green rows indicate new positions while red rows indicate closed positions. So taking a look at the recent filings we have here for April the 22nd, we have the Federated Global Allocation Fund that purchased 737 shares, and then we also have CVA Family Office that purchased 65 shares. We have a closed position from Blue Bell Private Wealth Management. We also have Artenis Investment Management that purchased 38,858 shares, and we have Great Valley Advisor Group that purchased 10,937 shares, and then we also have Gemmer Asset Management LLC that purchased 100 shares, and Concord Wealth Partners that purchased 1,000 shares. And taking a look at the new filings for the 19th, we'll go to, we have Joseph P. Lucia and Associates that purchased 260 shares. We have Green Alpha Advisors LLC that purchased 22,108 shares, and then we have Convergence Long Short Equity ETF that has a short position of 2,672 shares. So when we take a look at the short interest, the off-exchange short volume ratio is at 64.11%, and then for the off exchange short volume, it is just over 2.17 million shares. Scrolling down further on the page, the short shares availability is at 3.3 million, updated 11 minutes ago. And then for the short borrow fee rate, it is at 0.95%. When we take a look at the history of the short volume, we can see for the close of the 20th, it is at 69.06. And then for the close of the 21st, being at 64.11. So this is very high in regards to the short volume. And then we take a look at the short interest percentage of the float, it is at 12.35%. So if we have some buying pressure coming in, or if ChargePoint has a catalyst, it can make a strong move to the upside like we've seen in the past. But with the selling pressure we have inside of the markets, it is going to be a rocky road, but we're just going to have to be patient and see what it does. So let's move on to the order flow distribution. Now let's take a look at the order flow distribution for ChargePoint. So we see on the inflow, it is at 17.24 million, and then on the outflow, it's at 17.40 million. So we end up having an outflow day. Taking a look at the breakdown, on the large, it was 0.68. On the medium, it is 10.88. And then on the small, it is 5.68. Taking a look at the outflow side, you can see on the large, it was 0.57. On the medium, it was 10.80. And then on the small, it was 6.03. Taking a look at the large scale orders in the last 5 days, you can see for today, April the 22nd, we had that inflow of just over 111,000. Analyzing the numbers even further for the small scale orders that represents the retail side, we had more selling than we had buying. And then when we take a look at what happened on the medium, we had more buying than we had selling. And then when we take a look at the large, which represents whales, institutions, and funds, we had more buying than we had selling. And then when we take a look at the turnover ratio, it was at 2.56%. So this is not too bad for a stock like ChargePoint. It is a growth stock. You know, it comes with a good amount of volatility. And despite the fact that the market has been selling off pretty bad, I think ChargePoint is holding up fairly well. So let's go into the final thoughts, and we'll go over some more details as well. So for my final thoughts for ChargePoint, as far as recent news that has come out, we have an analyst from Tudor Pickering that gave them a price target of $22. So that does show that ChargePoint has a good amount of upside from the current price of where it's trading at. But one thing we can't ignore is the price action. We saw, as far as overall on the day, it didn't pull back that much, but it has been on quite the downtrend. We can see clearly on the chart, there's been a lot of profit taking and a lot of selling since it was trading in the $20 range not too long ago. So if we continue to see a pullback in the stock, of course I want to see $14 hold up as an area of support, but if it doesn't, then I want to see some strength right around $13.60. If you're looking for a move to the upside, you want to see some strength, then you want to see some consolidation at least above $14.15. And then of course, if ChargePoint is staying within this range, then we can look forward to a potential pop, and this is if the market picks up, to ChargePoint getting back to around $16.55. That's where I could say, you know what, it looks like it's going to make a strong turnaround, because it would be reclaiming the 21-day EMA. Also, when we went on Fintel, taking a look at the recent institutional ownership, we can see there's still activity among institutions. We do have some buying, but we also do see there's a good amount of close position as well. And then when we took a look at the short interest, there's a lot of shorts who are vested in this play, and we saw this clearly from the short volume. But I'm also not surprised due to the conditions that we have. We know ChargePoint is a company who is not profitable as of yet. And in an environment where we're going to be dealing with interest rate hikes, especially since Jerome Powell said that 50 basis points is on the table, stocks like ChargePoint are going to struggle. And I want to make sure that is something that you're aware about, especially if you're thinking about taking an investment. And this makes me want to get to my next point. What type of position do you want to take in this play? Are you a trader or are you an investor? I hear a lot of people complaining, saying, you know what, the stock is pulling back. Oh my gosh, I want to sell. And I'm like, wait a second. If you are an investor, you should be excited that the stock is pulling back. This gives you the opportunity to add more to your position, or if you haven't bought as of yet, take a position. Now, if you are a trader, then you need to make sure you're using the right risk management, because the reason why this is important, if the stock pulls back on you or it goes in the opposite direction that you want it to go, then you have some sort of an idea of what your next plan of action is going to be. Again, this all depends if you're going to be playing it long or if you're going to be playing it short. I want to make sure I'm really emphasizing this because I want to make it clear. You're not an investor if you're going to be complaining about the stock price daily. I just need to make sure I'm being clear about that. And with all of the fear that we have inside of the market, it reminds me of what Warren Buffett says. Be greedy when others are fearful, and be fearful when others are greedy. And this goes for stocks like ChargePoint. And this is why, as far as for a long-term investment, I feel it does deserve some consideration, but do not buy it unless you do your homework and you do your due diligence. That's something that I love to emphasize on this channel. You just do not want to just buy a stock because you heard somewhere on social media, buy now. It's going to the moon. That is the wrong way to go about doing it, because when the stock does pull back, then you're going to be like, man, what's going on? I shouldn't have bought this in the first place. So that's pretty much all I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I can't wait to see how this stock performs going into next week. We'll talk soon.